Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
The heat wave we're in now is even harder on people who don't have a roof over their head. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma, in for Maya Trabulsi. The Village Health Center at Father Joe's reopened today after flooding caused major damage this past spring. KPBS reporter Melissa May tells us it's just in time to treat people affected by the heat.
In March, the Village Health Center at Father Joe's had a large pipe burst in its waiting room that caused major damage to the first floor of its facilities. Father Joe's president and CEO, Deacon Jim Vargas, says this center is very important for the homeless community.
We are a federally qualified health center, and our population is strictly those who are homeless, those who are on the streets. And so then that's our specialty.
The health center provides services including primary care, dental, and behavioral health services, including substance use disorder treatment. Megan Parch is the chief health officer at the health center. She says the reopening comes at a critical time.
So we know that health ailments disproportionately impact our neighbors in need. We see that in mental health and substance use disorders and chronic illnesses, and many of those things are exacerbated by having poor rest, poor nutrition, and certainly being dehydrated and exposed to the elements in this heat.
More people seek out care when temperatures rise.
On average, when we see the heat beginning, that's when a lot of folks really want to get out of the heat, and that's sometimes when those barriers to get into treatment seem a little less insurmountable. So anecdotally, we do commonly see that more individuals will come in when it's very, very hot or when it's rainy.
The health center also deploys 2 street health service vans that go out into the community to provide in-home service to the homeless.
And they're connecting with people, meeting basic needs, providing water, hygiene kits, encouraging people to utilize local cool zones.
According to Parch, homeless individuals die on average 20 to 25 years sooner than housed individuals.
And we have the AC on blast so that folks who do come in for care services are able to sit and relax in a safe environment. We're really just encouraging people, use cool zones near you, keep hydrated. And when individuals don't have the means to meet those basic needs, we are providing them with Gatorades, waters, and other materials so that they can stay as safe as possible.
Walk-ins are welcome, and no unsheltered individuals will be turned away if they cannot pay. In fact, the center has the resources to help secure insurance and identification, too. Melissa May, KPBS News.
It's a time of year when dry heat along with winds increase the fire threat. FEMA says San Diego County is most at risk of wildfires in the state. CAL FIRE says heavy rain this winter created a lot of vegetation that is now dying. This left many areas with tall, dried out grass and weeds, the perfect fuel for fires.
Right now we have all that green grass that we had this winter has died off and is now dead and ready to burn. So with this heat and this relative humidity, dropping, getting lower, it's kind of coming up with the perfect combination for large fires.
CAL FIRE has these tips to reduce wildfire risk. Mow before 10 a.m., but never when it's windy or excessively dry. Be cautious when cutting in areas with a lot of rock and debris to avoid creating a spark. Use a weed eater to cut dry grass and keep safety tools like an extinguisher and shovel handy. The San Diego County Water Authority is not going to sue to keep 2 North County water districts. Instead, they'll negotiate. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen has the latest.
We're conducting today's meeting in person.
The San Diego Water Authority held a special meeting today to determine whether to file a lawsuit to keep the water districts in Fallbrook and Rainbow from leaving to join a district in Riverside County. In the end, the board voted to enter into settlement negotiations with Fallbrook and Rainbow.
What we're going to attempt to do is we are going to try to meet with Fallbrook and Rainbow to better understand some of the challenges that they have presented through this process.
The San Diego County Local Agency Formation Commission, or LAFCO, voted on Monday to allow the two North County water districts to detach from the Water Authority. Jack Beebe is the general manager of the Fallbrook Public Utility District. He says the move was the right one.
You join agencies under terms and conditions, and you can depart them under terms and conditions, and they may not be equitable to everyone in their mind, but LAFCO's job is to look at it and say what's most equitable for both parties, and we feel like they did that job.
According to a LAFCO analysis, the two North County water districts could save an estimated $7+ million a year by switching to a Riverside County wholesaler. The Water Authority says by allowing Fallbrook and Rainbow to leave, the rest of San Diego County will be stuck with a roughly $200 million tab over the next decade. Voters in Rainbow and Fallbrook will still need to vote on detachment. Beebe says the Water Authority should be working to build a case for staying.
So instead of trying to pivot, and they could work on an outcome that is, could be approved by our voters to stay, which is an option, they're going to spend that time, in litigation.
For now, it seems San Diego water divorce is far from settled. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
It's official. Actors are joining Hollywood writers on the picket lines. Today, SAG-AFTRA announced its national board voted to issue a strike order with members walking off the job tomorrow morning, and is already having an impact on San Diego Comic-Con. John Loring reports on what actors are fighting for.
The standoff between the union representing roughly 160,000 actors and media professionals is playing out like a movie script from a Hollywood drama.
I think this is a wake-up call not only for the entertainment industry, but for every industry to really look at that and say, we are not being paid fairly. We are not being paid a fair share of the pie for what we are contributing to these industries.
And now the actors are striking alongside the Writers Guild of America.
Solidarity is everything within our unions and among our unions, and we have that. We feel that.
The main issue at hand, money. The actors have been fighting for items like pensions, health care contributions, and additional payments when the shows they appear in air on streaming services. They've also been leery about studios using artificial intelligence in their productions.
It used to be where you would have a contract with a studio and you were contracted a certain amount of money for a certain amount of work. Now it's very freelance. It's very work for hire. We're basically independent contractors.
The Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers, who are negotiating for the studios, called for a federal mediator in hopes of a last-minute deal. But so far, there's no happy ending in this drama. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The strike means that actors can't promote their movies and shows, including at next week's San Diego Comic-Con. Today, some panels were canceled as a result. We have more reporting on the impact of both the writers and actors strike on our website. Just click on the Comic-Con link on our homepage at kpbs.org. The city of Chula Vista is one step closer to having its own public 4-year university after overcoming a legal barrier with the state. KPBS reporter Jacob Baer explains how a California law almost designated the university land as space for affordable housing.
Local leaders are celebrating the return of 383 acres of land in East Chula Vista for a future university and technology park. It comes after getting an exemption from the Surplus Lands Act, which says surplus public land must be made available to affordable home developers. Senator Steve Padilla says it helps to advance long-standing plans to bring a 4-year university to San Diego's South Bay.
There should be a university, an institution, or institutions of higher learning in this part of the region. And I think that the basis for the exemption is to really help that move forward more quickly, because the demand and the need is now.
Earlier this year, the state said the acres set aside for Chula Vista's University Innovation District must be made available for housing developers. But now that's changed, says Assemblymember David Alvarez, who helped to make it happen.
There are many steps still to go forward in order to be successful with this university, but without land, there would have been nothing. So this is definitely a huge first step.
Southwestern College is South Bay's only option for higher education right now. They're currently running a study intended to identify the academic programming needed to bring a four-year university to Chula Vista, says the school's Zanita Encarnacion.
Our students are place-bound many times, and so without having access to four-year degrees in South County in their own community, many of our students, high school graduates, don't go anywhere.
Chula Vista is the only city in California with a population greater than 200,000 residents that does not have a nonprofit or state university within city limits. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
A major shift for federal student loan borrowers is on the horizon. This fall, millions of the borrowers will make their first payments since March 2020, when a pandemic pause took effect. Karen Kefa takes a look at the economic impact and options for borrowers.
After a 3-year pandemic pause, federal student loan interest will begin to accrue again in September and payments will resume in October. A recent study by Moody's Analytics found as many as 5 million student loan borrowers will need to resume average payments of close to $275 per month and warned of an economic slowdown as borrowers shift budget priorities. Other economists like John Diamond of Rice University's Baker Institute Center for Public Finance say the dialing back of consumer spending will help further ease inflation.
I think at the end of the day, whatever positive effect we would have seen from increased consumption would have been offset by the Fed raising rates a little more than they would have to otherwise.
During the shift, Diana Furchtgott-Roth, former chief economist at the Labor Department during the George W. Bush administration, says borrowers have a strong job market on their side.
It's a great time to be looking for a job. Yes, they have to repay their student loans, but on the other hand, there are all these jobs available, both in the public and in the private sector.
The Biden administration has rolled out new options for borrowers ahead of fall repayments. Some will be eligible for a new income-driven repayment plan that could lower monthly bills and reduce the overall amount paid back over the lifetime of a loan. For those meeting certain income thresholds, monthly payments could be as low as $0. Some parts of the program take effect this summer, others in July 2024. In Washington, I'm Karen Kefa.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, an over-the-counter birth control pill gets FDA approval. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Most natural gas customers in San Diego Gas and Electric service area got big bills this past winter. A colder than normal winter and low gas supplies generated record high prices. But KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says few people got the bill surprise that came for one North County resident.
When 88-year-old Jack Babbitt opened his gas bill at the end of January, he was stunned. The charge for the month, $1,282.53.
First, I just thought there must be a mistake.
Doug Gastelum is Babbitt's grandson, and he's speaking on Jack's behalf.
Somebody typed in something wrong. There's just a mistake, and we'll get it corrected, and that'll be fine.
Babbitt is a military vet and widower. He lives alone in a trailer home that sits in a Fallbrook Valley just off Interstate 15. Babbitt's trailer has the typical lineup of gas-powered appliances, a gas stove, hot water heater, furnace, and a gas clothes dryer. The one thing Babbitt doesn't have is a smart meter.
This is in Fallbrook, and because of the topography and because of where they're located, they don't enjoy the ability to have a radio signal that sends their actual what they use for gas on a everyday basis.
An SDG&E employee has to physically come out to Babbitt's house and take a reading to get a measurement of Babbitt's gas use. They say they do that every other month and use estimates in between. His bills indicate that didn't happen for 9 months before the huge January bill landed. And then the SDG&E bill said he used nearly 5 times the average home's natural gas consumption in January.
I'm going to have a look at these prior bills and see what I can learn about how this happened. And when I looked at them, I realized they were much more complicated than I imagined. And then I started noticing this business of the estimations of use.
Between June and December of last year, Babbitt was billed about $200. The bills indicate the charges were estimates, which were almost all less than $30 a month. SDG&E says that's not exactly right.
As the bill says that there were 9 estimates in a row, but in reality, we went to Mr. Babbitt's home 2 or 3 days after we sent him the bill, and that happened several times. So while the bill identified an estimate, in reality, truthfully, we missed one estimate, and that was in November.
But when an actual reading was taken in January, gas use was sharply higher, meaning the monthly estimates were woefully low. And Babbitt got hit even harder by the cost of gas. SDG&E customers paid $5.11 a therm. That's more than double the December price, which the utility had already warned would be expensive.
Yeah, that is actually unimaginable how anybody could rack up a bill like that.
Dan Whitworth is a consumer advocate for San Diego's Utility Consumers Action Network. He says he's seen other cases where estimated readings led to oversized bills.
Meter readers have to go out and view the actual meter, and they are supposed to do that every 2 months. But the story San Diego Gas and Electric has been telling us is that they do not have adequate personnel to go out and do that, but they've been doing everything they can to train people so they can get people out there.
Whitworth says truing up the meter and bill after a long period of estimates means a customer can end up paying above baseline rates. The utility charges more when customers use more as a way to encourage conservation.
It always has a very, very anxiety arousing effect on the customer to get a bill out of the blue so large.
Rising gas bills in the months leading up to January could have been a warning sign that everything was not okay. A malfunctioning heating duct discovered in April after that big January bill likely contributed to the unusually high gas consumption. That stoked Gastelum's frustration about the long run of estimated bills.
If there is a problem with your system, you will detect it sooner. So, so a lot of problems with just estimating these things month after month after month after month.
KPBS spoke to San Diego Gas and Electric about Babbitt's situation to get some answers. We'll let you know what happened tomorrow. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Torrential rain, flooding, tornadoes, and a dangerous heat wave. Extreme weather is blanketing much of the U.S. this week, and as Gloria Pazmino reports, experts are warning more is likely in store.
Record high temperatures, dangerous scorching heat, and no sign of relief. Over the next week, nearly 70% of all Americans will see temperatures at or above 90 degrees. The current heat wave continues to intensify, putting around 100 million people under heat alerts from the West Coast to South Florida.
It's definitely too warm inside the house, and I wanted to get him out, so it was a good idea to come to the pool.
The situation is extreme in Arizona, where temperatures in Phoenix have reached 110 degrees every single day this month. So far, the Maricopa County Department of Public Health has confirmed 12 heat-associated deaths.
Since we've been recording heat-related deaths back in 2006, this is the highest number we've seen, and it's a real significant increase.
It's not just the heat.
The wind's kicked up really hard and really fast, and it's like basement now.
According to the Storm Prediction Center, there were 75 storm reports across the U.S. on Wednesday alone. 5 tornadoes were reported near Chicago, forcing thousands of passengers at O'Hare International Airport to shelter in place. For areas in the Northeast already devastated by catastrophic floods, more rain is on the way.
Unfortunately, in parts of the state, we're now expecting severe thunderstorms, which could bring more flash flooding, hail, and even the threat of a tornado.
I'm Gloria Pazmino reporting.
And let's start with our weather headlines. Not much has changed as we're continuing to track a long duration heat wave, especially inland. It looks like the heat does peak as we head into the weekend and things remain cooler at the coast. Looking at our weather alerts, still under an excessive heat warning. This goes all the way out until Tuesday at 8 o'clock, so the heat is here to stay. Temperatures again, cooler at the coast, so Oceanside down to 60, San Diego 65, Chula Vista 64, but Borrego Springs doesn't drop below the 80s and Mount Laguna only down to 72 tonight. Into the day on Friday, more coastal cooling, so I think a lot of folks may be heading that direction to try to beat the heat because it is here to stay. Look at Borrego Springs tomorrow, 112 degrees, Ramona 98, Oceanside 80, and San Diego at 78 degrees. This pattern continues throughout late July, where we're going to have temperatures 5 to 15 degrees above the historical averages. Day in and day out, if you work outside, you want to be outdoors, this is unfortunately going to increase the risk for heat-related illnesses and with mainly dry conditions and increased fire risk. Your 5-day outlook along the coast brings us 80 on Friday, dropping on Saturday, and then temperatures into the lower 80s Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. Heading further inland, I mentioned that heat peaking as we head into the weekend. Look at that, 99 degrees as we head into Sunday. Not much cooling on Monday, but temperatures may come a little bit down by Tuesday. Into the mountains, temperatures will be up in the upper 70s on Friday, mid-70s on Saturday, and then back into the upper 70s Sunday and Monday, and into the 80s by the time we head into the day on Tuesday. And for the deserts, we continue to see the triple-digit heat, 112 degrees on Friday, 113 degrees on Saturday, and it looks like as we head into Sunday and Monday, temperatures continue to warm, 114 as we head into the beginning of the week, and not much change by Tuesday, temperatures at 109. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
San Diego's Pride Weekend festivities officially kicked off today. The annual Pride of Hillcrest Block Party is underway. The theme for this year's festival is Thrive. Business owners and workers say it's more than a party, it's a celebration of who they truly are.
It's becoming a little more easier, but also sometimes you still, as that's in the back of your head, the people still not accepting who you are and who you're being. So all you got to do is just be you. Okay.
He went on to say that it gives people the opportunity to be brave while feeling the support from their community. The block party runs until 11 tonight and continues tomorrow. The parade is this Saturday. Music is an important part of the curriculum in the San Diego Unified District, but it wasn't always that way. 33 years ago, things had gotten so bad that a music teacher decided to do something. As KPBS reporter John Carroll shows us, the band camp she founded then is still going strong.
From the street, the Correa Middle School campus in Ocean Beach looks like any other school during summer vacation. No one around. Things are quiet. But get a little closer and you quickly discover there are plenty of people around, and it's anything but quiet.
Music incorporates everything.
Retired music teacher Dean Hickman is the band camp director.
It is the one art form that calls upon both sides of the brain to operate at the same time.
Left brain, logic, rhythm. Right? Creativity, expression. The combining of those two sides of the brain plays out here, Correa's band room. Students from grades 7 through 12 go through intense practice for a full week at this camp, which does have a name. It's here on the back of this Jeep, Band at the Beach. A red Jeep that belongs to this redhead, Del Schroeder. She founded this sonorous celebration, and all these years later, she's still right there in the thick of things.
I love to play with the kids. It's fun. It makes me do better.
What do you get out of doing this?
There's a 3-letter word for that. It's called joy.
I just graduated Coronado High School. I'm going to be attending SDG&E in the fall.
But before he officially becomes an Aztec, 17-year-old Sky Stratiff is contributing his skills on the trumpet to the band at the beach. But the trumpet is just one of 15 instruments he plays.
What do you get out of music in general, no matter which instrument you're playing? Communication. I can definitely express any emotion that I'm going through, anything that I'm dealing with using music.
I play the alto saxophone.
That's 15-year-old Maggie McAteer. She says Band at the Beach gives her a great opportunity to practice over the summer and
work with really good professionals who can help me get better. And so I think that's really the appeal for me.
those professionals are the older folks here, each one a music teacher who leads the various sections. Apart from the pure joy of making music, both Sky and Maggie agree on another benefit of Band at the Beach.
You build this sort of community because there's the people who do, even if you don't necessarily go to the same school as them, you get to meet a lot of wonderful people.
Wonderful people, music makers. In the words of poet Arthur O'Shaughnessy, the dreamers of dreams.
All that work, all that practice over in the band room will culminate here on the Correa Middle School stage at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon with the big final concert. Music that comes from the heart, that is the passion of musicians young and not so young. And it's free. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Hollywood on strike. NPR's Morning Edition will have an update as actors join screenwriters on the picket line. And KPBS Roundtable digs into what the San Diego Union Tribune's sale means for local journalism. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amita Sharma. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.